4 months ago, we talked about on this channel that Honda and Nissan were striking a deal. What was it going to be? Well, they said they're going to share battery components, electric vehicle components, possibly share a platform for electric vehicles and software-defined vehicles. You know, at the time, former Nissan president and CEO Carlos Ghosn, who was sacked and put in prison in Japan, he said that this was a secretive takeover of Nissan by Honda. Well, let's pause.
I need help.
Her hair fell off?
Yeah.
All right, come here.
You know her head.
Come here.
I know to put her head on. I know to put her
Okay,
head
just let me. There we go. I was done filming and editing the video you're watching right now, and then this came out. So I wanted to get back into this Foxconn talk because it's quite fascinating. Honda and Nissan have accelerated their potential. I mean, I don't know if this is photoshopped. I don't know what's going on with this Foxconn logo in this picture. It's probably photoshopped in. But Foxconn wanted to swoop in and buy Renault's shares of Nissan. Here we go. Renault had a 43% stake in Nissan. Now, in 2023, they agreed to reorganize their joint venture, or you could say their dealings with each other, Nissan and Renault, so that they had equal stake. Nissan had been working years to have say over their own company, and they had no say over their own company for the most part because Renault had far more shares of Nissan than Nissan had of themselves. So Nissan was kind of like this, I don't know, slave to Renault over the years because they couldn't make their own decisions. So in 2023, Renault dropped down to 15% share in Nissan. So what happened to the additional, what is that, 28%? Let me do math here. Yeah, 28. Geez, it's early. So the 28% stake in Nissan was just put in a trust, I believe. There you go. I guess it says right here, Nissan shares were held by trust banks, and Foxconn wanted to swoop in on that 22% share of Nissan that was just out there that no major the banks had it, but no manufacturer of anything had those shares. So Foxconn wanting to have 40% of the EV market. Check out their lofty goal here. Taiwanese Foxconn wanted to have 40% share, or does want to have 40% share of the EV market. Getting into Nissan would give them a lot of, I guess it would act as a springboard to get them into the automotive business, right? Jun Seki is Foxconn's chief strategy officer. He's been president of Japanese motor Nidec. He joined Foxconn in 2023, but he also ranked at one point in time number 3 in the Nissan company. So this guy might see Nissan as like the crown jewel of acquisitions for Foxconn so that they can expand into the EV market. Foxconn owns Sharp. Now, Sharp used to be, as far as I'm aware, a Japanese electronics maker, but Foxconn seemingly owns them, and they're working with Sharp for EV components. Sharp said they're coming to the market with EVs, which Sharp has been irrelevant. Gosh, what was it? The Aquas TVs? That was the last time Sharp had some relevancy in the United States market anyways. Let me know if there's any other Sharp products that I should be aware of. And if Foxconn manages to invest in Nissan, it would be able to acquire EV manufacturing know-how and global sales capabilities. Exactly. It's a springboard, it's a catapult to get them into car manufacturing very quickly. So a Honda official warned Nissan by saying if Nissan and Foxconn work together, this will scrap our partnership. Honda, too, worried about that partnership, which is at the core of its growth strategy, would be broken by Foxconn's moves. If Foxconn had launched a takeover bid for Nissan, Honda could have potentially become a white knight for Nissan. I've never even heard the term white knight. A person that comes to someone's aid, a person or company, Honda in this point, coming to Nissan's aid. All right, well, they kind of already are that white knight for Nissan. But in December, Foxconn accelerated its under-the-radar activities, and Nissan received information of Foxconn's Seki, their president of their EV business, right, that used to be with Nissan. He was planning to meet with Renault CEO Luca De Meo in Paris it would not be surprising if Foxconn approached Renault about acquiring Nissan shares at that meeting, and a Nissan official said, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." So that's why this is accelerating so much faster, is because Foxconn wanted to snap up the remaining shares that Renault had in Nissan, and that would really tamper with Nissan and Honda's plans to work together. But that's about all I wanted to cover on this article. But yeah, Foxconn tried to without Nissan's permission, though, right? Because they knew Nissan didn't want to work with them. They would rather work with Honda. This is something like you can't make up. There almost needs to be a movie about this, starting all the way back like Nissan in the 90s, and then the merger with Renault, this whole Foxconn. There should be some sort of like 3-piece documentary on Nissan right now. If Honda comes in, becomes this white knight to Nissan and allows these companies to remain Japanese. All right. Foxconn got in there. I mean, it's Taiwanese, but most of Foxconn's products are made in China, right? Now, Nissan and Honda also rely massively in China. They make a ton of vehicles there. They make a lot of money there, or they used to. Anyways, I got to keep moving with this. We could be here all day because, I mean, this is such an exciting story. To me, I'm not so much excited about what could come out of it. I just love the drama that's going on. So we need to keep moving. But we have breaking news. It started at Nikkei Asia, but Reuters has all sorts of pieces that have come out talking about Honda and Nissan, how it could work. What's the future here going forward? They have to do something drastic. They meaning Nissan. Honda's fine. Honda has next generation hybrids coming out that they just detailed yesterday, along with all the Prologue news. Honda has EV factories coming online in Ohio and Canada by the end of the decade. They're going to be fine. It's Nissan that is a sinking ship. Well, what can Honda benefit from absorbing Nissan and Mitsubishi? Don't forget about little Mitsubishi. They're part of this too, but Mitsubishi might actually have more to offer in some ways than Nissan does at this point. So guys, grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in, and make sure you subscribe because we got some more news coming out today. I can't say too much about it. It's going to be fun. Nothing like groundbreaking, but it'll be a good conversation piece. And it may or may not involve one of these two brands here. So make sure you subscribe. It'll be coming out later today. That's all I can say. So I'm excited to see you guys back on the channel this evening. All right. I'm filming this 8 a.m. on the 18th of December, 2024. All right. Honda, Nissan moved to deepen ties, sources say, including possible merger. All right. What's the big threat? Well, Nissan's their own biggest enemy. They didn't bring hybrids to North America, which hybrids for Honda, Toyota, and the Koreans, hybrids are printing money right now for those companies. Nissan has hybrids everywhere else but North America, or should I say specifically the United States and Canada, because they have their e-Power hybrids in Mexico I believe they have them in the Caribbean. They have them in pretty much every market besides the United States. It's absolutely bonkers, and that has completely made their vehicles uncompetitive, in my opinion, in today's market. All right. They also didn't innovate well with EVs. They came out with a Leaf initially, but that was a little bit before its time. And then since it wasn't necessarily right, the market wasn't ripe for EVs then, they didn't try to innovate past it. Okay. The Aria is a good EV. It's not a perfect EV, but the Aria should have been available after the Leaf within a few years, in my opinion. That would have been pretty cool. I mean, if something like the Aria came out just a couple of years after the Leaf, it would have really started moving the industry. All right. So anyways, Nissan's lack of competitive product is one thing currently in the market, but then you have more competitive offerings in the world's biggest market, which is China. Nissan's shrinking in China. Honda's shrinking in China. They need to pool their resources together, one, to survive in China, because China seems to be, a market that these manufacturers can't lose. They have too much of their profits sunk in and tied to China. If you look at the Germans, And a lot of the, like General Motors, for example, they make so much money in China, but they're losing those profits in just a matter of years due to the Chinese competition of homemade Chinese vehicles like BYD, especially erasing the profits from traditional automakers. All right. So it's getting very difficult to make money in China. So these companies need to work together, pool their money together, their R&D together to survive China, but also to have a better product globally. Merger could create a $54 billion company, which would be the world's number 3 auto group by vehicle sales. Remember, Mitsubishi is in this too, more than likely. All right, so who are the top 3? Well, it's Toyota, then it would be Volkswagen, and then it would be Honda, Nissan, Mitsubishi. You can start your names now. Nissan Dishi. There's my name for it. Nissan Dishi. You got to keep the Ishi in there because that's the Mitsubishi. That's the most fun part of a Mitsubishi saying it. It's the Bishi part. So Honda, Mitsubishi. I don't know. Now, Nissan's in a bad position right now. Recently, anonymous executives in Nissan said, hey, we have 12 to 15 months to survive. If we don't get an investment by then, the company might go under. Now, here's Honda, Mitsubishi as well. Now, Nissan has, I think, a 30-some% stake in Mitsubishi. So whatever Nissan does, Mitsubishi must do. Mitsubishi is in better health, I would say. I hate to say it, but here's Nissan relying on Mitsubishi's plug-in hybrid and the Outlander to be put in the Rogue in 2025 because Nissan has no hybrids or plug-in hybrids in the United States. So they're relying on Mitsubishi to kind of carry the Rogue to be a more competitive product in the current market. I'm excited for it because I like the plug-in hybrid Outlander, and the Outlander plug-in hybrid just got refreshed, not for our market yet, but it will. It's getting more range, a facelift, it'll have slightly different styling. That will be happening very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And it's getting more power, more horsepower. So all those are good things. Nissan will be benefiting from that in their Rogue. Nissan has cut 9,000 jobs recently, cut its production by a fifth, and their profit between China and the United States was down 85%. How's that possible? Well, one, they're not competitive in the current market with their product. But two, you had huge profits being made still on the backs of the supply chain disruption due to COVID. All right. So COVID, we had a reduction in production capacity. And so every manufacturer didn't have to incentivize their cars. Whatever arrived on the lot, since there's such a shortage of cars, everything that arrived on the lot was sold at a premium, either a high MSRP, which they all creep their MSRPs during the I almost call it a recession in some ways, but during COVID, right? Stellantis being the worst offender. And now Nissan can't fetch those prices that they were fetching during the pandemic. If you look at Toyota, Honda, the Koreans, they're still fetching high prices. It hasn't affected them yet. Why? Because their products are more desirable. And since this announcement came out, shares of Nissan closed 24% higher on the Tokyo trade Wednesday. Shares of Honda, whose market value of $43 billion is more than 4 times bigger than that of Nissan. Honda's shares went down 3%. Nissan has everything to gain in a partnership with Honda. If Honda doesn't come in and help Nissan out, Nissan will disappear, more than likely. They're just not capable. Now, Nissan has value to their company, even though it might not seem like it, even though customers are not buying their cars at the rates that Nissan needs them to. Nissan has V8 technology. You guys might be saying, well, V8s are like Latin. It's a discontinued language, V8s, but that's not necessarily what the customers want. If V8s were allowed with the deregulation, V8s would be being bought up a lot. And it's kind of sad that the new Armada, while the twin turbo V6 in the new Armada has more power and torque, it's not as smooth or as just a fun engine as the V8, the 5.6 liter V8. Outside of that, Nissan has expertise in sports cars. So does Honda. They have this lineage of elite high performance with Nismo and GTR. but that's not really making any money right now. Nissan also has valuable technology in e-power, even though it's not available in the United States. So Nissan does have expertise, and I'm sure there's a lot more valuable things from Nissan that it's not coming to mind right now. But if Honda and Nissan can work together on a common hybrid platform and a common EV platform, one, their vehicles will be more desirable and more competitive. And two, they should be more affordable in theory. Both of them can benefit. Nissan has the most to benefit just by staying alive here. Okay, here's shares of Mitsubishi. Nissan owns 24% stake in Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi went up 20% on the stock market. And Renault shares were up with the idea that they could shed Nissan, this dead skin, or you could say dead weight. Now, Renault, we don't get them in the United States. I mean, you could say we have Renault technology through Nissan products in the United States, but it's not really worth talking about them a whole lot. Nissan Honda merger would be far from a cure-all. This is from Anthony Curry here on Reuters. So he's going to bring up some worrisome points here. This is the line that kind of starts the conversation here forward. He says, well, look at Stellantis. Look at their issues, saying like tie-ups aren't a Band-Aid that fixes everything. Yeah. Stellantis essentially tied together a bunch of weak companies, and you could say, you know, they're worth more than the sum of their parts. Those companies are from multiple different countries, multiple different cultures. I don't know what the long-term longevity of Stellantis is, but Honda is a very healthy company, more so than any company by far in Stellantis's portfolio. A well-executed merger could buy Nissan and Honda time to slash expenses to bolster their subpar portfolio. Well, I wouldn't say, here's the thing. Yes, I would say Nissan's portfolio, especially here in the United States, is subpar. Honda's is fine. Honda could benefit from having electrification on their large platform vehicles, but I'm going to talk about this later on the channel in a future video, saying like Honda probably will just skip hybrids on their large platform to an extent. There is a workaround to that, but they might just go fully battery electric for large vehicles. All right, and let's finish up with this article, how Nissan and Honda stack up against each other. Honda has sold nearly 4 million vehicles in 2023, Nissan 3.37 million vehicles. If they combined going forward, looking at last year's sales was 7.35 million, which is really close to the 7.31 million. Now, Nissan sales in 2023 are not going to be this 3.37. They're going to be down. Honda sales are probably going to be down due to the lack of interest in Japanese cars in China, the largest auto market. If we look at employees, Honda has about 195,000 employees. Nissan has about 133,000. Remember, they just laid off about 9,000 employees. We talked about the market cap earlier. Nissan is only worth 10 billion. Honda's worth more than 4 times that. And this merger would be bigger than the 52 billion deal between Fiat, Chrysler, and PSA. I don't know how much Mitsubishi is worth. A few billion, I would assume, maybe half of Nissan, maybe 5 billion. So it could be worth more than this 52 billion. And here we go. Here's Honda's markets. If we look at Honda in 2023, North America, 37% of its sales. China was 31%, a huge percentage. If you look at Toyota's percentage in China is far below 30%. And with the lack of demand of Japanese cars in China, Toyota is going to be okay. Nissan and Honda, since their market in China has, well, it's diminished greatly since 2021 or so. 2018 might have been the height of Japanese autos in China. And their market share has diminished immensely. But their profits recently have come from China, at least a big part of them. And Japan is Japan's a smaller market, right? But it's their home market. Europe only accounted 2% of Honda's shares. Honda's like non-existent in Europe, Africa, seemingly. Nissan's biggest market is also North America, accounting for 37% of sales. Isn't that ironic? They both have 37% of their sales derived from the United States, or should I say the North American market. China for Nissan is at 23%, Japan at 14%, but Nissan has a much bigger stake in Europe compared to Honda. So Honda can benefit off of the coattails of Nissan to have more success in Europe. They really need each other's help to figure out the China solution. And Nissan really needs Honda for hybrids in North America. Well, actually, they need each other for hybrids in every market, in my opinion. And that's about it. All right. I already kind of talked about what technologies they need to have a unified hybrid technology, but that's going to take years to manifest. In theory, unless they work on a large platform hybrid for the North American market. They have no large platform hybrid Honda or Nissan that I'm aware of. Meanwhile, Toyota has plenty large platform hybrids with their 2.5 liter and the new Camry, the 5th gen, the plug-in hybrid based off of it. You have the 2.4 turbo hybrid and the RX 500H and the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max, etc. Toyota's hybrid development and diversification is in a much better place. If Honda and Nissan can pool their resources, they could have hybrids figured out very, very quickly and be more competitive and have equally as desirable, if not more desirable, hybrids than Toyota, if that's possible. Surely it's possible. Anything's possible. So, I mean, the thing is, these companies have to act fast because they're bleeding, especially Nissan. They have to act fast, and they need to get advanced technologies out to the market to survive with all the regulations around the world and the crazy shifting sands in China. All right. So I don't know if I'm excited for this. I'm excited what they, I guess, could produce together, pooling their resources, but that could take years before we see the fruits of Honda and Nissan and Mitsubishi working together. It might take 5-6 years. That's the typical product cycle of a car. I mean, they're going to have a unified platform. That might take even longer to develop. Software-defined vehicles, that could take even longer because that's outside of the typical expertise of these companies. Maybe since they're pooling the resources together, things can be expedited. I'm not quite sure. So I'll see you guys. I can't wait to see you in the comments on this market-changing merger. I think it's imminent. I'm about 95% sure it's going to happen. Nissan has to do something. The Japanese government won't let Nissan fail. If the Nissan fails, it's going to have a domino effect in the Japanese economy for sure. If you enjoyed today's video, smash the like button. And like I said, I'll have a fun video at the end of the day to get you guys up to speed on something that maybe a Japanese automaker is working on. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.